All right, so we're diving into the world of GPUs today, but like not the ones you buy brand new, all shiny and new. This is about a whole subculture, right? Like
Yeah.
these guys are rescuing discarded graphics cards
Yeah, it's fascinating. They're basically pulling these things back from the brink.
from the digital graveyard almost.
Yeah.
The story we found on the Edge of ESD, it's wild. It's like a high stakes treasure hunt, but instead of gold, it's well, silicon.
And the stakes are high because we're not talking about just any old components. These things are delicate. One wrong move and poof.
Ghost.
Exactly. And that's where the ESD comes in. Electrostatic discharge.
Okay, so for those of us who aren't walking electrical hazards, what exactly are we talking about here?
Think about those static shocks you get, like on a dry winter day, right? Now imagine that, but like amplified. And instead of your finger, it's coursing through the delicate circuitry of a GPU.
Ouch. I'm feeling for these GPUs already.
Yeah, it's not pretty. And the
Mhm.
pros who work with this stuff, they take it super seriously.
Mhm.
I mean, they've got grounding straps, special mats, even ionized air to like neutralize static.
It's like a whole other level of tech hygiene.
Pretty much. Because one little zap can mean the difference between a killer gaming rig and, well, a very expensive paperweight.
Totally. And what's really cool about this group, this On the Edge of ESD crew, they're not just hoarding these GPUs, they're getting them to people who need them, kids who might not otherwise have access to this kind of tech.
It's a really cool example of how technology can have a second life.
Right.
Instead of ending up in a landfill, these GPUs are getting a chance to like inspire someone.
Okay, so let's meet this crew. First up, we got Jason, but everyone calls him Sugar Bear.
Catchy.
Right. So Jason, he's the cautious one, like hyper aware of the ESD threat, always on the lookout for that stray static charge.
Probably a good quality to have in this line of work.
For sure. And then you've got Johnny Ruckley. He's like the opposite of Jason in a lot of ways. If there's a shortcut to get those GPUs up and running, Johnny's all over it.
A real risk taker.
Oh, yeah. Which, I mean, in the tech world can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on the day, I guess.
Definitely a mixed bag.
Then there's Randy. We can't forget Randy. Randy, hell yeah. Davidson, to be exact. He is without a doubt the most optimistic person I think I've ever encountered, like ever. If there was a global GPU shortage, Randy would be the guy figuring out how to power his rig with potatoes or something.
Well, hey, if anyone could make it work.
Exactly. Resourcefulness at its finest. And last, but certainly not least, we've got Shailesh. Goes by, I'm the boss of you, Deshmukh.
Try fitting that on a business card.
Right. But hey, you don't get a nickname like that by being indecisive. Shailesh is the one who keeps this whole operation running smoothly.
Which, let's be real, with personalities like Johnny Rock and hell yeah, Randy in the mix, it can't be easy.
No kidding. So imagine it's like late at night, the team's in this dimly lit warehouse. They're surrounded by stacks of these forgotten graphics cards. It's like a silicon graveyard in there. They're getting ready for a big delivery, right? Getting these resurrected GPUs into the hands of some very excited kids.
And then boom, cue the dramatic music.
A storm hits out of nowhere.
The ESD gods are not messing around.
For real. And it's not just any storm. This thing is like apocalyptic levels of wind and rain.
I'm talking torrential downpour, right?
Oh, yeah. And of course, it doesn't take long for Mother Nature to crash the party.
Literally.
A power surge.
Talk about a worst-case scenario. You've got all that chaotic electrical energy looking for a place to go, and in the middle of it all are boxes and boxes of incredibly sensitive electronics.
It's like the universe is trying to test these guys.
A true trial by static electricity.
And that's where the whole bubble wrap debate comes in.
Ah, yes, the bubble wrap saga. An epic tale for the ages.
It might seem kind of random, right? Like, who cares what kind of bubble wrap they use?
Well, in this story, it becomes this whole philosophical debate.
Because it represents their different approaches to risk, right?
That's exact.
Like Johnny Rock, ever the pragmatist. He's like, standard bubble wrap, totally fine, let's ship these babies out.
Why overthink it, right?
Exactly. But Jason, Mr. Cautious Bear himself, he's not convinced. He wants the good stuff.
The pink anti-static bubble wrap.
The holy grail of ESD protection.
No expense spared when it comes to protecting those precious GPUs.
And in that moment, with the power surge hitting and those GPUs hanging in the balance, I bet Jason was thanking his lucky stars for that pink bubble wrap. And you know what? In the end, that pink bubble wrap probably saved the day because Jason, he pulls it off like a boss.
Talk about a clutch move.
Right. With seconds to spare, he manages to reroute the power, divert that surge, and all those GPUs safe and sound. It's like something out of a movie.
Except with less explosions and more static electricity. But yeah, it's a pretty impressive feat.
No kidding. But it makes me think it's more than just like quick thinking on Jason's part. It's that deep understanding he has of ESD, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this story, I think it highlights how that knowledge, it might seem overly cautious at times, but in those critical moments, it can make all the difference.
Totally, because
Yeah,
you can never predict when a power surge is going to hit, but if you're prepared, you've got a fighting chance, right?
exactly. And when it comes to salvage tech especially, being prepared is key.
Because let's face it, those components have already been through a lot.
They've seen some things, they've got stories to tell.
And thanks to these guys, thanks to Jason, Johnny Rock, Randy, Shailesh, all of them, those GPUs get to tell a new story, you know? They get a second chance.
And not just the GPUs, right?
Yeah.
The kids who end up using them, they get a second chance too. A chance to explore, to create, to game whatever they're passionate about.
It's like this whole story, it's a giant middle finger to planned obsolescence, you know?
I'm all for giving planned obsolescence the middle finger.
It's like we're so conditioned to just throw things away when they're not brand new anymore. But what if we embrace this whole repair, reuse, you know, give things a second life mentality?
We'd save a lot of electronics from ending up in a landfill, that's for sure.
Seriously. And who knows, maybe we'd surprise ourselves with what we can fix.
Maybe we've all got a little tech resurrectionist in us, just waiting for the right opportunity.
Maybe we do.
Yeah.
So next time you're about to toss that old laptop or that dusty gaming console, take a second, think about this deep dive, think about on the edge of ESD and ask yourself, could it have a second life?
And if it can, maybe it's time to break out the pink bubble wrap. Just in case.
Safety first. All right, that's it for this deep dive. Until next time.